Remember Paul Finebaum?
Tommy Tuberville was running for governor, a former Auburn coach who beat Alabama 6 times in a row, and I think it's fair to say he's going to win pretty comfortably, seems to be the assessment. There's an open Senate seat. Bruce Pearl, also at Auburn, had talked about it. He says now he's not going to run. Is that with the conversation? Are you somewhat interested and intrigued at the opportunity of looking into that Senate race? I'm assuming that's what they reached out to you to talk to you about.
Yes, I was very cautious. I didn't take it too seriously. And then ultimately, I ended up talking to someone who made it clear that there was a desire for me to be involved.
Teasing a Senate run? Well, that has come to an end.
Why ultimately, Paul, did you say no?
Being in this cauldron for 3 months, I saw the path. I dealt with donors. I dealt with a lot of people, and at various moments, and I'll get to the final reason in a minute, but they kept rushing me in. Even Coach Tuberville called me at one point and said, "You can't wait much longer. You got to get in FEC files. You got to show you're legitimate." So fine. So I kept putting it off, but ultimately the reason I couldn't do it was the political operatives. Now, I know this sounds like I'm blaming something on other people, but I'm not. I'm just telling you the reality that you already know. They told me the clearest and cleanest path to victory, I was running as a Republican in Alabama, was to run, and I'm just going to paraphrase the political operatives' words, you need to run against woke Disney. And I could not do it.
We covered it previously on why Finebaum chose to bow out.
I could not burn down the place I had worked for the last 13 years that had given me an opportunity as a Birmingham talk show host and use whatever you may think of Disney, and plenty of people have opinions. Disney owns ESPN, for those of you who don't know.
Right.
I couldn't do it. And they said, I had several very prominent people, including 2 senators, sitting senators, tell me that's your path. I mean, there are many other paths, obviously, to win a primary in Alabama, but they thought that was the cleanest path. And it was, my wife one night said to me, can you do that? Can you literally tear down and torch whether you agree or disagree with everything they do, and nobody agrees or disagrees with their parent company? I think I can speak for you as well.
You most certainly can.
And I knew I could. And I just couldn't, in the end, that factor alone, that was at the top of the pyramid, as well as many other things. And secondarily, and maybe even equal, was saying things that I was not comfortable with. You can say whatever you want about me, polarizing, mouth of the South, always ripping coaches. But the one thing I've always wanted to do on a program is bring people together and let them fight within under the tent. And I couldn't get up there and just draw a line and say, I'm for you and I'm against you. It was against everything in every fiber of my body.
Let's pause here. And now he is spilling more tea.
On day one, on that, going back to that September 10th meeting with the political consultants, they already knew everything I had said within reason. They went
scary.
over. They had, I guess AI does this. I really don't know how you do it, but somebody had gone through years of radio, and it came down to just a handful of comments that I have made, which is pretty amazing. But I rarely, if ever, dip into the political waters. It's just something that's not smart. I called the president infantile on First Take with Stephen A. Smith. I had done I said 2 other things that they thought were alarming. I had complimented Nick Saban for doing a public service announcement during the early days of COVID, when he was calling for social distancing and masking. And I had complimented in another interview Nick Saban for marching with his players in the aftermath of George Floyd. I complimented him because I thought, as a football coach, it was the right thing to do. Ed Ogeron had not done it, and it has caused a lot of consternation and ended up really probably costing him his job because he lost the locker room at LSU. And those were thrown at me, and what can you do?
Let's just think about that for a moment, and then we'll get into much more. The consultants pulled up everything And the biggest problems that Paul Finebaum has ever said were masking from COVID. Apparently that is a no-no, even though we are 5 years removed and COVID still exists. You should be masking if you want to not get sick. Nonetheless, calling Donald Trump a rather moderate name. That's it. J.D. Vance called Trump Hitler. So the consultants, look, they have the polling. All right, I understand that. But if someone can be elevated to the vice president, to be vice president of the United States of America while calling the guy above him the Fuhrer. I mean, I understand he has the VC money. He has Peter Thiel backing him and many others, but come on. And then Finebaum also taking a stand for the Black Lives Matter movement by applauding Nick Saban and even saying Ed Orgeron lost his job because of that. I would argue it was many other things. That was one of the things. But think about what that says of the modern day conservative voter, and not even modern day. Just think about what it says about the voter base.
The people running my operation were convinced, absolutely convinced, that one of the two leading candidates in the race had paid Laura Loomer to do a hit piece on me on social media, which she did, and it was fairly entertaining to watch in real time. Mm-hmm. I got a bunch of texts from friends of mine who cover the White House in Washington saying, "Well, you've now you've made it. You've been Loomered," but it didn't really discourage me because I really thought to myself, Kyle, if that's all they have on me, I'm actually in pretty good shape.
Laura Loomer, if unaware, is this despicable person.
Official drink of America first.
This is far-right activist Laura Loomer and white nationalist Nick Fuentes cheering to
the hostile takeover of the Republican Party.
Absolutely.
And they're not wrong. Both met personally with Donald Trump. I first met Loomer in 2017 at an event for manosphere influencer Mike Cernovich. At the time, Loomer was an activist who'd celebrated the deaths of Muslim migrants. But she was being harassed by white nationalist trolls because she's a Jewish woman. Since then, she's taken a strange trajectory, with years somewhat in obscurity because she'd been banned from so many social media sites, like Twitter. When Elon Musk took over Twitter, she came back. She does stunts like ambush interviews.
Frank, why aren't you supporting President Trump? I'm a successful investigative journalist.
Loomer recently told CNN she's not anti-Muslim. Now, some might dispute that she's entered the mainstream, but she's reached the former president's elite inner circle. Flying to the presidential debate on Trump's plane, and to New York as he observed the anniversary of 9/11. A notable appearance since Loomer has pushed the false conspiracy theory that 9/11 was an inside job. She's been seen with Trump a lot.
We're here at Bedminster. I'm with the greatest president ever.
I spoke to Loomer before the debate. She told me she's attacked as a childless woman who devotes all her time to a man who will never pay attention to her, meaning Trump. But Trump does pay attention to her and reads her reports.
Laura, how are you? You look so beautiful, as always. You don't want to be Loomered. If you're Loomered, you're in deep trouble. Trump!
Trump! Good morning, everybody. My name is Laura Loomer.
She ran for Congress twice and lost. But she told me she built a constituency among the very pro-Trump voters in the villages.
President Trump has fired the head of the powerful National Security Agency, and far-right activist and conspiracy theorist Laura Loomer is taking credit for it. So who is she? On Thursday, Trump fired General Timothy Hawk, the top U.S. official overseeing the NSA and U.S. Cyber Command, along with his deputy. That's the top of America's cyber and spying operations gone. But the day before, Trump met with Laura Loomer.
Laura Loomer is a very good patriot. She is a very strong person. And I saw her yesterday for a little while. She makes recommendations of things and people. And sometimes I listen to those recommendations.
Loomer confirmed to my Washington Post colleagues that she did push for the firings. She's claimed 9/11 was an inside job, said school shootings were staged, called herself a proud Islamophobe, and she spread racist and anti-immigrant rhetoric, calling all immigrants invaders. During the 2020 campaign, she said if Vice President Harris won, the White House would smell like curry, and speeches would come from a call center. She's been banned from Lyft, Uber, and Uber Eats after saying the company shouldn't wouldn't hire Muslim drivers. In fact, she's been banned from most major platforms until Elon Musk brought her back to X. Despite all that, Loomer has traveled with Trump and flown on his plane. She's even went with him to ceremonies marking the anniversary of 9/11 last fall.
AL.com's Kyle Whitmore wrote in his piece, "A man accustomed to speaking his mind soon found himself with a handful of handlers coaching him on what to say. Quote, 'You're in many ways the Manchurian candidate,' Paul says. 'You're just being told what to say all the time, and I really couldn't do that.'" More from Whitmore. Had he run, Finebaum's greatest political asset would be his name recognition. He wouldn't be a stranger trying to introduce himself to Alabamians. Despite that advantage, though, he would still need money, probably $10 million, as Katie Britt and Tommy Tuberville had recently done before. Quote, "I'll never forget this as long as I live. They said, once we get to this number, you will become a United States Senator. It's that simple. It was all about money." If you can and are willing, please become a paid member here at TYT Sports. And or go to tyt.com/join. In addition, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Appreciate it. Have a great day.